Hello and welcome to the news. My name is Joe. This is Stretford Paddock. We are here on, what day is it? Wednesday, the 15th of September. The last 24 hours have been a blur and not always in a good way. Man United obviously lost 2-1 last night to some young boys over in Switzerland. We'll be getting into the reaction to that, of course. That is the dominating news story. The world is caving in. It's like bloody Chicken Little or whatever it's called. What is it where he keeps going down, the world's caving in, actually it's just an acorn. I think that's how we all feel, isn't it, last night? It feels like the world's caving in, but it's actually just an acorn. Don't worry about it. We'll get over it. We'll also be looking at the latest from Tielemans, who's been basically, giving it the old, let's see where I end up chat, which we've seen a lot from footballers in the last few months. United have been linked with him relatively recently, so we'll be having a look at the latest on that. We'll also be looking at the latest on Erling Haaland as well, who, according to Sport Bild, Dortmund have been looking for a buyer for the £75 million rated Erling Haaland. So we'll be getting into that in just a minute as well. Leave your comments in the comments. I'll be reading some of those. What did you think of last night? Do you think the reaction is being overblown? Do you think Ole got it wrong? Do you think it was down to individual mistakes? Let us know how you're doing. Manu Tonyo says, morning people, this is going to be painful. Correct. Let's get right into it. Let's just rip the plaster off. Last night, Ole was speaking after his game, after we did our review. He was talking about the loss to SBC, BSC, BSE, young boys. He said the sending off had an impact. It looked like a well-earned point in a difficult game. When you get the first goal, you think you got a great chance. It's enough to win the game, but unfortunately, that sending off will always have an impact. He also said Aaron gets a touch that's too far, and he gets the ball, but he follows through. It's hard to argue against the referee, but then he didn't go through his ankle. He hit him on top of his foot. It was never a malicious tackle. You're going to defend your player, and I understand that, but I don't even think Ole Solskjaer thinks that wasn't a red card because, it's just in the modern game, which I hate saying because, it's still football, but we know one of those, you've overrun the ball, you're lunging for it, you get the man more than you get the ball, the good chance is you're getting sent off because they do seem to bring that kind of the sort of the action as a whole. It's not just the contact, it's he's clearly out of position, he's clearly had a bad touch, he's extending, he's reaching too far, and therefore the suggestion is, or maybe correctly or correctly not, if that's a thing, correctly not, that he's out of control, which is one of obviously the key sort of check marks in, are you going to be sent off? Is it reckless? Were you out of control? I think the suggestion is if you've tried to control the ball and it's gone too far, you therefore, by definition, are not in control of the ball or yourself because you're stretching, you're leaning. I think we can all see why it was a red card. Now, here's the key bit for me, because a lot of people in the comments, I'm sure some of you here now were here last night, were saying, and I agreed with this, and I still agree with this, that Ole got his tactics wrong following the red card. The subs felt weird, the change of formation, I didn't quite get it. A lot of it seemed to be just sort of haphazard. Let's see what we can do quickly. We need to, we kind of went from we're winning this game, excuse me, to let's hold on immediately. There was never a case of let's see if we can still control things with 10 men. Let's try and put the pressure back on them. It was just let's just sit back and hold on to a win. Then obviously they got their first goal, and the storyline stayed. Let's sit back and hold on to what is now a draw. We never went, let's get on the front foot, let's try and win this game. And I think that confused a lot of people. One of the things he says here, which I think is, I think it's good that he comes out and says this because he gives us an insight into his thinking. He says, talking about the formation change, he said, you saw the signs toward the end of the first half that they were going to switch it and get crosses in with the wing-backs. I thought we coped really well. That's why I went to the 5 at the back. So we had 3 centre-backs heading the ball out from these crosses that we saw were going to be coming in. I thought we coped really well. We were a bit lazy going out and blocking the cross for the first goal, Luke Shaw, which he definitely was. We could all see that. A bit unlucky because it then gets deflected off Luke, which is what takes it away from Harry Maguire, who is covering his near post. And obviously Varane got beaten by his man there. It then gets deflected off of Luke. And then the last goal, that's just unfortunate. I don't think anyone can blame Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for that last goal. I did try and see one person blaming Ole because he told Jesse to play midfield. But if that is your stretch, I can't help you. It did seem as though we were inviting pressure on, though, if we are being critical. Maybe we invited too much pressure on. Maybe it was almost inevitable that they would get that second goal, regardless of a mistake or not, because of the way we set up. We didn't set up to win the game. We didn't have a shot, let alone a shot on target, after Wan-Bissaka got sent off. That is terrible. Talking about Jesse Lingard, he said, that happens in the game. That's football, ups and downs. You've got big moments. You've got moments that go for you and against you. He'll handle that one. We'll handle that. And I think, crucially, we've got 5 more games in this group. And Ole goes on to say, we need 12 points to go through, which in most seasons, 9 will get you through. In almost every season, 10 will get you through. So really, it's 10 points from 5 games, and you're probably through. He said 12 there because I think that's you're definitely through if you get 12 points. But generally speaking, 10 will get you through, and generally speaking, 9 will get you through. You need to win your home games, win one away from home, and go through. When you put it that way, it sounds so simple. A missed opportunity tonight, of course, but then last year we won our first 2 games against PSG and Red Bull, and everyone thought we were through. So we have 5 games to get the 10 or 12 points. And Shami Kebab on Reddit with a great reply to that, talking about how he brings up the PSG and Red Bull games, saying, well, everyone thought you were through last season. Ha, I've tricked you. You thought we were through and we won 2 games in a row last season. Well, let's do it the other way around. Let's lose the first game and go through. And he said their bold strategy to use last season's catastrophic collapse as a defence for this season, which, I think is very good. Very fine work. It is interesting, isn't it? He's used the old, well, you thought you were dead smart last season when we beat PSG and Leipzig. Well, I proved you wrong. Still got us knocked out. It's going to be difficult, isn't it? But I think you look at the next 2 games. It's Villarreal and Atalanta, both at home. And then obviously the mirror comes in and you play them both away in reverse order. We have to win those 2 games. Also, I honestly think 4 points from those 2 games, we might be all right, but we need to win them. You can't be losing, drawing and winning your first 3 games. We have to get 2 wins because at some point you just have to win games. You can't always find the sort of the path of most resistance to get through. Let's win some games. Let's make this easy for ourselves. We've got arguably the easiest group. I think there's that one other group where it's just Salzburg top to bottom. Other than that, we've got about as easy a group as you could hope for in the Champions League. Our pot A team were Villarreal. And yes, they beat us last season. But, they're sort of a relatively mid-table, or not mid-table, but they're not a challenging team from Spain. We have to start winning games. You can't just have it that, we drew that one, we lost that one, we sort of scraped through last day against, young boys at home, having to win that game to go through. We need to make this more comfortable. We need to start winning games. And a particularly difficult stat to get my head around is the fact that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has lost 7 of his 11 Champions League games as manager of Manchester United. That is terrible. That is really bad. Now, I suppose one defence could be the first season when he came in. I don't remember. Did he play a leg before the PSG game? If he did, I'm losing it. But obviously, one of the losses is against PSG, and we went through in that tie. Then we got battered against Barcelona, who were still quite good then. And then you look at last year's group stage, Istanbul Besiktas is the standout one, but there's no shame necessarily in losing to PSG. But you can sort of work your way around it. What it boils down to is 7 losses out of 11 games in the Champions League is shit. And we have to fix that if we want any chance of winning. If we want to win that tournament, you can't have more losses than wins. It's as simple as that. We need to sort it out. Let's have a look in the comments. And what do you think of that? What do you think of Ole's comments about the game yesterday? Now we've had a sleep. We've had a night on it. We've sort of wake up. How do you feel? Because I think it all felt like the world was caving in yesterday, didn't it? But to me, this isn't the Premier League. It's not about winning every single game. It's not about staying top for a full season. It's about going through. And, one loss doesn't knock us out. But, of course, we have to react to this. There's only one solution: get Ole out. People who say Ole in don't know football. I like that. That's become a thing on Twitter over the last few years. Of if you think that Van der Beek isn't a good footballer, you don't know football. Well, what do you mean you don't know football? What do you know about football? What does anyone know about football? Do you have higher level coaching qualifications? But even then, that doesn't matter because Ole's got them. And apparently he's, if you think he's any good, you don't know football. So qualifications don't count. Success and history don't count. All that counts is your opinion as to whether someone knows football or not. I think I'll leave it. Vinay saying it was a small setback. Ollie is the next Fergie Messiah. Okay, so you can go too far either way, which I like. Yes, at the same time, you don't have to say that everything Ollie says is shit, but also, he's the next Fergie. I think that's pushing it. Messiah, you've gone too far. He's a god. He's a god amongst men. Sir Alex Ferguson was a proven winner before he joined United. He was. Not that Solskjaer hasn't won anything, but, he hasn't done what Sir Alex did. I'll be more than willing to admit that. People who say Ollie in have a small club mentality. We're Man United, for fuck's sake. And that means you win every single game. Remember under Fergie when we just won every game, every season? For 26 years, we did not drop a point, and it was amazing. We love those days. Let me move on then. It's one of those controversial topics, isn't it, last night? It's one of them where I think we just got to work through it. It's like a little counselling session. We've got to work through it. We didn't expect this. Ronaldo came in. We battered Newcastle. We thought it was just strawberries and cream until the Champions League, the treble, the FA Cup, the fucking Premier League lifting ceremonies were going to happen. We thought it was just non-stop wins. And this has come as a particularly early and untimely reminder that we're still pretty fragile, aren't we? And there's still problems with this team. And let's be honest, an unbelievable mistake from Jesse Lingard and a red card to Aaron Wan-Bissaka probably didn't help last night. I know it was obviously Ollie who, didn't close the cross down and who got sent off and who gave the ball away at the last minute. I know it was Ollie that did all of those things. But let's imagine for a second that Wan-Bissaka did get himself sent off for a stupid tackle and Jesse Lingard lost us the game. Imagine if those things have happened, maybe we could be a bit more calm about the whole situation. Anyway, plenty of time to go in that group stage. For me, I still think we're favourites to go top, to be honest. The other teams drew, by the way, so that's another big thing in this. Atalanta and Villarreal, who theoretically are the strongest teams in that group other than United, they drew last night, which again means United are 1 point behind the favourites. So, it's not the end of the world. Let's move on then. It's enough of that. We've heard enough of it. That's enough of it. Let's move on. And this is talking about... Actually, we'll go with... Yuri Tielemans next. And he is apparently keeping his options open. I like this. I love this. This thing, some players now can't just say, I've got a contract, don't worry about it. They have to say this. Yuri Tielemans has admitted he's keeping his options open over his future amid transfer links, and speculation to Manchester United and Liverpool. He was linked with a move to Old Trafford after a successful loan spell with Leicester, before completing a permanent move to the King Power Stadium for $40 million in 2019. You forget how expensive Yuri Tielemans was. Speaking to Sky Sports, the former Anderlecht man, which there's no reason to bring in the fact that he's a former Anderlecht player. I don't know why that's what he's referred to as. The former fetus, Yuri Tielemans, loads of things he used to be that aren't relevant to him playing for Leicester. The former child and then young adult, Yuri Tielemans, said, there's no update really. I'm open to everything and the transfer market has just closed. So I try and keep my options as open as I can. What is that? Sorry, let me try that again. So I just try to keep as much options as I can open. As long as I'm here, which, sounds like, if they're forcing me to stay, I guess I'll try. As long as I'm here, I'm going to give everything to the club. I've already done so, but I'm going to give even more. And the contract situation is just something that's football. It's a normal situation. They, brackets, his agent and the club are talking. I'm not saying I'm going to sign, but I'm not saying I'm not going to sign. Wow, thanks, Yuri. That's a real vote of confidence to all the Leicester fans, that, isn't it? Let me just recap that again. I'm open to everything, and the transfer market, in his own words, has just closed, which it has. So you think that draws a line under it. If I was him, when I'm reading this first time, I thought, what he'll say here is, I'm open to everything, and the transfer market has just closed, so I don't want to talk about speculation. That's what I would say, even if I wanted to leave. But he said, I'm open to everything, and the transfer market is just closed, so I just try and keep my options as open as I can. Honestly, Yuri, I mean, he was linked with Manchester United, he was linked with Liverpool. United have been crying out for a player of his style. I know he's a bit more of a number 8 again, but he's better on the ball than Fred. He's better defensively than the likes of Van der Beek. I think he'd be a very good signing for Manchester United. You could see him alongside Pogba and maybe one other in there. Maybe Bruno even dropping a bit deeper as a great signing. Again, he's been linked with United. He obviously wants to leave. Whether he comes to United or not will remain to be seen. It's not going to happen in the next few months, of course, because as he said here, the transfer market is just closed. But on the other hand, he's not saying he's going to sign, but I'm not saying I'm not going to sign. How coy and disrespectful is that for a quote? So there you go. That's the latest on Youri Tielemans. Again, remains to be seen whether he comes and signs for Manchester United. People saying he's the perfect DM for us. Let us know what you think of Youri Tielemans. Obviously, let's be honest, he wants to leave. Whether he does or doesn't is a separate article or a separate matter. But it seems like he wants to leave. Gareth Blades, hey up, mate. Why would we need Tielemans? I think I agree with that question. I think the suggestion is that he's more defensively sound, like I said, than Donny or something like that. He's better on the ball than Fred. Maybe we have to come up with a new style or a new system to fit him in. But yeah, why does Fred stand with Bruno during free kicks, for fuck's sake? You'd have to ask him. I think he just likes the where are you putting it? You can go top corner. I knew it. He loves top corner. He does. I don't know, probably something like that. There's been a pattern emerging with Ole. This is still talking about the last topic, but you know what? I knew this would dominate, so let's go back into it. There's been a pattern emerging with Ole, particularly in Europe. He couldn't get out of the group last season. He couldn't. Not in the main tournament, but remember in the second tournament, we got all the way to the final, and I don't remember what happened after that, but probably we won it, didn't we? Because, can't imagine we fucking David Hay and Mr. Pele for us to not win it. Tielemans is not defensively sound, he's not a DM. Well, they're two different things, aren't they? A defensive midfielder is a position unto itself. Being defensively sound, you can still be that and not be a defensive midfielder. I think Dan James was defensively quite sound. He'd come back, he'd track back, he'd tackle. Doesn't mean you're a defensive midfielder. I didn't say he was a defensive midfielder. He can play a little bit deeper maybe than the likes of Bruno Fernandes, and he can still be defensively sound even if he's not, Kante. Anyway, let's move on. Next up is Erling Haaland before we go, and this is coming from Sports Witness. Quoting Sport Build, they are saying that the Norway international will almost certainly leave the Bundesliga side next summer when the €75 million release clause comes into effect. When discussing potential suitors, the outlet states Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's side, along with Real Madrid, Paris. I thought, right, when I first read this I've read this before. When I was reading this my brain went, the outlet states Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's side, and the sentence will end, our favourites for him, but instead it just goes on to list every club in Europe. When discussing potential suitors, the outlet states Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's side, along with Real Madrid, Paris Saint-Germain and Man City, are the maximum of 4 clubs who could be in position to afford the Norway international signing in 2022. Sportbild say Dortmund's leaders are aware of the possibility of seeing Haaland leave at the end of this season, and therefore the wheels are in motion to identify a successor. Interesting. Now, by saying the wheels are in motion, that suggests there's some sort of contact or something going on. Who knows the exact details on that? But, what we do know, again, is it's going to be a bidding war for Erling Haaland, isn't it? And maybe not a financial sort of transfer fee bidding war, but a bidding war of wages, a bidding war of signing on fees, a bidding war of that style. Because, like I said, there are half a dozen clubs that could afford that that transfer fee, that release clause. But who will do it? Who will lure the player in with the promise of titles and trophies and lifestyle and wages? That's the real question. That's going to be all from me this morning. Difficult one today, as we are all aware, after last night's loss. But we're here. We made it through. We've still got 5 games to go. And luckily for us, like I said before, Atalanta and Villarreal drew last night, so they've only got 1 point, so that's shit and all. Before we go, we should mention paddockmerch.com. We've got loads of good merch on there. Here's the hoodie. First time wearing this, actually. It's really nice. We've got the Fernandes stuff. We've got Ronaldo stuff. We've got loads of stuff. Mason Greenwood, Marcus Rashford, all your favourites on there, and loads of new designs as well. So head over to paddockmerch.com. The link is in the comments and in the description as well. Thank you very much for joining me this morning. Again, he's explained his tactics. He was trying to stop the crosses going in. That's why I went 5 at the back. It kind of makes sense in theory, but you've got to then not lose the game. Difficult one for Man United yesterday, but that is life. And we will be back later tonight for Stretford Paddock Live. So make sure you join us for that. Thank you very much again for joining me this morning. We'll see you in a bit.